In the heart of the Roman Republic, a fire was about to ignite. This fire was not of wood and flame, but of human spirit and defiance. It was 73 BC. The Roman Empire, vast and powerful, thrived on the backs of slaves. Among them was Spartacus, a Thracian warrior. He was captured and sold into slavery, forced to fight as a gladiator for the entertainment of the Roman elite. Spartacus was no ordinary slave. He had known freedom. He had known battle. He yearned to break free from the shackles of Roman oppression. His spirit was unbroken, and his resolve was unyielding. Spartacus, along with about 70 other gladiators, escaped the harsh training school at Capua. They seized the opportunity during a moment of lax security, overpowering their guards and breaking out into the countryside. Armed with whatever they could scavenge, they fought their way free. They used kitchen knives, farming tools, and even their bare hands to fend off their pursuers. Their desperate bid for freedom resonated with other slaves. Word of their escape spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of those who toiled under the yoke of Roman masters. Soon, what began as a desperate escape mushroomed into a massive rebellion. Slaves from all over the region flocked to Spartacus's banner, eager to join the fight for their freedom. This was the beginning of the Third Servile War, a desperate struggle for freedom against the might of Rome. The rebellion would challenge the very foundations of Roman society and leave an indelible mark on history. Spartacus was not just a warrior, he was a born leader. His charisma and vision inspired those around him, turning a group of desperate slaves into a cohesive and determined force. He understood the importance of unity and morale, and he worked tirelessly to instill a sense of purpose and hope in his followers. He knew that a rabble could not hope to stand against the legions of Rome. Discipline was instilled. Spartacus emphasized rigorous training and strict discipline, knowing that only a well-organized and disciplined army could challenge the might of Rome. He transformed his followers from a disorganized group into a formidable fighting force. Gladiatorial skills were honed and shared. The brutal training of the gladiatorial arena was put to good use, as Spartacus and his men practiced tirelessly, perfecting their combat techniques and learning to fight as a unit. This relentless training paid off on the battlefield. Former slaves were trained, transformed into formidable soldiers. They learned to wield weapons with deadly precision and to move in unison, becoming a disciplined and effective fighting force. The transformation was remarkable, as these men who had once been oppressed and downtrodden now stood tall and proud. Under Spartacus's command, the slave army swelled to over 70,000 strong. His leadership and vision attracted more and more followers, and the ranks of his army grew with each passing day. This massive force was a testament to Spartacus's ability to inspire and lead. They marched south towards freedom, winning victory after victory against Roman forces. Each victory bolstered their confidence and resolve, and the dream of freedom seemed within reach. The slave army's success was a beacon of hope for all who yearned for liberation. Spartacus's strategic brilliance was evident in every battle. He was a master tactician, able to outthink and outmaneuver his Roman adversaries. His strategies were innovative and effective, often catching the Romans off guard and leading to decisive victories. He used the rugged Italian terrain to his advantage. Spartacus was adept at using the natural landscape to his benefit, setting ambushes and choosing battlegrounds that favored his forces. This strategic use of terrain was a key factor in his many victories. He understood Roman tactics and exploited their weaknesses. Spartacus was a keen student of Roman military tactics, and he used this knowledge to exploit their vulnerabilities. His ability to anticipate and counter Roman strategies was a major reason for his success. His victories sent shockwaves through the Roman Republic. The success of Spartacus and his army was a source of great concern for the Roman authorities, who were unaccustomed to facing such a formidable and determined foe. The very foundations of the Republic were shaken. The slave army was no longer an annoyance, it was a threat to Rome itself. The Roman Senate realized that Spartacus and his army posed a serious threat to the stability and security of the Republic. The stakes were high, and the struggle between Spartacus and Rome would become a defining conflict of the era. Rome, rattled by the continued success of the slave army, dispatched its finest general, Marcus Licinius Crassus, to crush the rebellion. Crassus was a seasoned and ruthless commander. He brought with him 8 legions, approximately 50,000 well-equipped Roman soldiers. The shadow of the Roman eagle now loomed large over Spartacus and his followers. Spartacus knew that this would be his most difficult challenge. He understood the might of Rome, the discipline of its legions, and the ruthlessness of Crassus. He prepared his army for the inevitable confrontation, knowing full well that the odds were stacked against them. The two armies finally met in the southern Italian region of Apulia. The air was thick with tension as both sides prepared for what would be a decisive battle. The landscape, with its rolling hills and ancient olive groves, stood as a silent witness to the impending clash. Spartacus sought to avoid a direct confrontation with the main Roman force. He was acutely aware of the overwhelming numbers and superior training of the Roman legions. His strategy was to outmaneuver them, using the terrain to his advantage and avoiding open battle whenever possible. He knew his only hope was to break through and reach the coast, where he hoped to secure passage across the Adriatic Sea. The sea represented freedom and a chance to escape the relentless pursuit of the Roman forces. It was a glimmer of hope in an otherwise dire situation. However, Crassus had anticipated this move. The Roman general was a shrewd and experienced strategist. He had studied Spartacus's tactics and knew that the rebel leader would attempt to flee towards the coast. He had his legions construct a massive wall and trench across the Bruttium Peninsula, effectively trapping Spartacus and his followers. This formidable barrier was designed to cut off any escape routes and force Spartacus into a direct confrontation. Spartacus, with his back against the wall, chose to fight. He knew that surrender was not an option. Rallying his troops, he prepared them for the inevitable battle. His determination and resolve were unwavering, even in the face of overwhelming odds. His final speech to his army was a testament to his courage and charisma. He spoke of their shared struggles, their victories, and the cause that had brought them together. His words ignited a fire in the hearts of his men, reminding them of the stakes. He reminded them of what they were fighting for: freedom, dignity, and the right to live as free men and women. The army, inspired by Spartacus's words, raised their swords in unison, ready to face whatever came their way. This was their final stand, a moment that would be remembered for generations. The final battle raged for hours. The slave army, fueled by desperation and inspired by Spartacus, fought with incredible ferocity. They threw themselves against the Roman lines, their makeshift weapons clashing against Roman steel. Spartacus, seeking to reach Crassus himself, fought with the fury of a man possessed. He was the embodiment of courage, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. He fought his way through Roman ranks, desperate to reach Crassus. He knew that killing the Roman general would not guarantee victory, but it would sow confusion and perhaps, just perhaps, give his people a fighting chance. The tide of the battle eventually turned in favor of the Romans. Roman discipline and training began to tell against the tiring slave army. Despite their bravery, Spartacus's army was slowly but surely being ground down. The accounts of the battle vary. Some say Spartacus fell, his body lost beneath a mountain of slain. Others claim he was wounded but continued to fight until his last breath. What is certain is that Spartacus fought with unparalleled courage and died a warrior's death. The rebellion was crushed, and thousands of survivors were crucified along the Appian Way, a grim reminder to all who dared to challenge the might of Rome. Spartacus may have lost the battle, but he won something far greater, a place in history as a symbol of resistance against tyranny. His name became synonymous with the fight for freedom and justice. Spartacus showed the world that even the most powerful empire could be challenged. He demonstrated that even in the face of overwhelming odds, courage and the will to fight for freedom could shake the foundations of an empire. His story continues to inspire, reminding us that the fight for freedom is a fight worth waging no matter the cost.